Super Bowl champ Carl Banks, a longtime analyst for Big Blue here on the Fan. Carl, welcome back. What's happening, buddy?
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Pleasure, Carl.
Absolutely.
Look, we know what we've seen, and we've seen tight games, one-possession games that the Giants are finding ways to win. Is this sustainable? Can they keep winning this way, or do they have to start playing better?
Well, two things can be true at the same time, Tiki. What they say in the NFL is more games are lost than games are won.
Yeah.
And you hear coach speak, and this is around at every level, don't beat ourselves. Don't do things to beat ourselves. So the Giants have managed to make plays when they needed plays. They have executed the way they've needed to execute, and other teams have not. So, yes, they have to get better, but the philosophy is sustainable. The fact that they want to go in and make a game as muddy and as murky as possible and get you into the deep end in the fourth quarter to see if you can swim, and then they execute and you can't. Now, they're going to be, just like the Dallas game, there are going to be some times where that won't be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to protect the quarterback better. You're going to have to catch those drop balls because that may be a possession that you really need. Just like the Giants had a 4th and 1 down on the goal line, and they had a key drop.
Yeah.
And that could be the difference against a better opponent.
Yeah. Does it feel like this team is starting to believe that they are better than the expectation preseason? Obviously they know they can win any game because they play them tight. To your point, but are they starting to believe that? Hey, man, we're 6-1. There's only one team with a better record than us, and it's the Eagles, and we haven't played them yet.
Well, it takes two people in that locker room to believe that, and I don't think they've ever given up on themselves. But they are leading by example. One wears the number 8, the other one wears the number 26. They were crapped on so bad this offseason that, you had so-called experts saying that Saquon Barkley is not an NFL caliber running back because he doesn't know how to run effectively as a running back. You had coaches and general managers saying Daniel Jones is just not NFL quality. When you look around the league, you only got 5 really good quarterbacks, and then it's the rest of them.
Yeah.
And it's those who can manage their team. And I use the word manage because every quarterback has to manage games. But those who can execute and manage the game plan are the ones that are having success.
That's true. That's true. We'll talk to Carl Banks, two-time Super Bowl champ, and he's the analyst, of course, a long time for the Giants here on the Fan. Carl Banks report brought to you by Bud Light. For the Giants fans on game day, beer always tastes better after a win. Let's be honest. Enjoy responsibly. Foxwoods Resort Casino, the wonder of it all, your local Kia dealer. Visit kia.com to discover movement that inspires, and by Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa. Carl, listen, the business of the NFL has changed a lot. Last couple of years, teams more and more willing to shake it up, make a midseason move. We see C-Mac with the Niners, James Robinson, a good pivot by Joe Douglas in the Jets here. And listen, the Giants are knocking on the door. Do you expect them to make a trade? I know that the finances are what they are, and you don't want to give away draft capital and be reckless, but do you think that they will make a trade?
I don't. I think the draft capital combined with the capital on hand and the anchor that they're carrying, a big financial anchor at wide receiver right now that's not on the field, that, it's pretty hard to kind of say, okay, we're going to bring someone in. We got to deal with a guy we're still paying who's not playing. And do they really want to give up draft capital as they have started to put an infrastructure in place? You get past, again, let me just say this also, they're not this season away from the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you have enough to go, I don't want to just put restrictions on, but to go 500 for the rest of the year, that puts you in the playoffs, right?
Yep.
That gives you something to build on.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you the 1984 Giants, my rookie year, where they just were rebuilding and we got into a wild card, and the next year it was something different because we got better players, and then the following year a Super Bowl. So it's hard for me, because I don't look at it like Joe Shane, but if I'm seeing an anchor, a financial anchor that is just basically parked, I have draft capital and I need to upgrade my roster, clearly. And what do I have to trade for, right? I don't have anything on the roster that I don't need right now to give to somebody.
What about Beckham? I know he was in the building recently, veteran minimum kind of deal, unfinished business. If he's open to it, you think the Giants would want him?
Here's the question that we have to ask. When is Odell Beckham healthy? Odell Beckham, once Odell Beckham says, hey, I'm healthy and ready to go, I think that's when that conversation should be had. I think there's a lot, and he's done a great job of staying visible. He hasn't knocked down any opportunity verbally, but we don't even know if he's healthy. And I think until he declares, hey, I'm cleared by my doctors and I'm ready to go, then let's have a discussion. But right now, if you go out and get him, everybody's got to obviously do their due diligence, but we don't know if he's healthy or not. So I don't want to jump into that discussion.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, he's an asset to any team.
Yeah. No,
so let me just be clear on that.
Yeah, you're right. And by the way, the Rams, if he's healthy, probably still want to reach out and try to get him back as well. And there's familiarity there, obviously. All right, going out to Seattle, Carl, you never played out there in the new stadium, but it is loud. But you've been out there and you've heard it.
I've been there.
It is intense as hell. They are surprisingly atop the NFC West, and Geno Smith is playing ridiculous football. So I'm not saying Seattle football is back to the championship level, but it's relevant. The challenge of going there and trying to win, if they should come away, the Giants should come away with a win. Where do we now have to? I mean, we're forced to start thinking about them in the hierarchy of the NFC.
Well, you do. If they can go out and win the football game in Seattle, you are what your record says you are. At that point, you'll be 8 weeks, 9 weeks into the season before you play your next game, and you are what your record says you are, and nobody can take those wins away. Seattle won't be easy. Kenneth Walker is really good.
Yeah.
And I will say this as publicly as I've said it against Geno Smith. I've been very critical of him, right? But I am so impressed with where he is right now with his football maturity and his execution. The kid is playing well. He's got talent. He's applying himself, and they are giving him a quarterback-friendly offense, obviously with a runner like Kenneth Walker, but giving him plenty of choices in different spots on the field. He's being very decisive with the football. He's throwing it in good. He's throwing it as good as anybody right now. So he won't make it easy for the Giants. Lockett is going to be his key now because Metcalf is not going to play in this game. But who would have thought that when Russell Wilson left that the Seattle Seahawks wouldn't be doomed? Yeah,
it's an unlikely story, and it's really kind of encapsulates the whole NFL season, a lot of wackiness. Carl, I wanted to run one more thing by you, and I want to go back to something you said before. We're talking to the great Carl Banks, two-time Super Bowl champ here on Tiki and Tierney. So when you come in 84, the ascension, 85, and eventually culminates in 86, I know that you weren't there early with Phil Simms, clearly. But I made the point to Tiki the other day. I said, a little bit of a parallel, totally different skill set. Daniel Jones, better athlete, no doubt, faster. But can you loosely connect the uneven start of Phil Simms with the Giants and the uneasy start of Daniel Jones with the Giants, and maybe eventually see Daniel Jones winding up in the same place as Phil Simms? Is that crazy?
We should only hope. We should only hope. There are definite parallels. There was a fan base that just did not like Phil Simms, and they were open about it. He got into many arguments during the course of games, right? If you fast forward that to new technology, it's the same type of feeling towards Daniel Jones. And then the fan base started to grow with Phil Simms as they are starting to do with Daniel Jones. So I hope that they'll accept what they have because, Phil was in an era with a lot of great quarterbacks and Giant fans were like, why can't he be like X, Y, and Z? Same with Daniel Jones, but you find a way to win, and it's a team sport, and Phil's the ultimate team quarterback, team player, team leader, and a great one in his own right. And I think Daniel Jones is showing and leading by example this season, along with Saquon Barkley. So I think there are definite parallels to the year of the reconstruction, the first reconstruction, which is 1984. In 2022 is the new reconstruction of the Giants.
Nice. I knew I wanted to throw that by you when I brought it up last week with Tiki. I think the one difference, Carl, that complicates it now is that the finances are so out of whack. To commit to Daniel Jones, it's different than committing to Phil back in the day. But again, loosely translated, I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I'm sure Giant fans really appreciated it. So good stuff, man. Here we go. Keep on trucking, Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
You got it. Carl Banks, 2-time Super Bowl champ on the Fan. And